This is learning activity number 9, my personal story of an organizational change. This change took place about 7 years ago. I've been the pastor of New Prospect for about 2 years, and in that time, just assessing different needs in the church, realized that there was a need of organizational change in the deacon ministry. There was a lack of servanthood and being able to train and lead, and so the church had, for most of, up until I arrived, it was a kind of a, once you were a deacon, you were a deacon for life. There was no rotation system. There was no, as far as accountability, as far as being able to, bless those that were faithfully serving, and yet also kind to hold those that are accountable that maybe began to neglect their ministry role. And many of you have served in different churches, and whether as a deacon or on staff or as pastor, and God has given me the opportunity to serve as a deacon at my home church, and kind of had the understanding of that role, and actually being a deacon, and then also serving on staff at a couple of churches where there was a good example of deacon ministries and those that really came alongside the pastor to encourage and help, rather than being kind of the second branch of the government, to where they kind of hold the pastor in check. And so when we came here, realized that there was just a need for organizational change. There was kind of this mentality that the pastor's job was to do the ministry, and the deacons would take care of the business aspect. And that was definitely something that I felt like was really contrary to what my understanding of what the role of deacon was. And so back in 2005, gave kind of a tentative deacon rotation system, presented it to the deacons. Of course, some of them did not like it, didn't appreciate it, didn't like the fact that I had even suggested it. But as we began to walk through the process, one of the things that I learned is to make sure that you clearly communicate, with those that are involved in the change. I had to meet with them as a group, but then some I had to meet individually to resolve, the questions and concerns, and some of them had misunderstandings of what the deacon rotation system consisted of. But the fact that we would serve, for 5 years, and then after that they would have a year off of rotation. And then they would then have the opportunity that the church would then could vote them on to serve as an active deacon for another 5-year active term. And so there was that area of servanthood, but then also an area of accountability to allow the church to affirm to the deacons that they appreciate and see God's hand in their ministry and in their life. And so we want to encourage them to continue to serve faithfully and to support the ministry of New Prospect. And I think one of the things that I also found was doing the right thing is not always the popular thing. There was, of course, a lot of people that, even though that the church voted for it and the deacons allowed it to go to the business meeting, there are some still to this day. But yet there's no doubt in my mind that our church is stronger today, our deacon ministry, but our church as a whole is stronger today because of this move 7 years ago, just to simply tweak the deacon ministry and have that accountability and kind of focus and train our deacons as to the fact of what their role is in the servanthood of New Prospect Baptist Church. And doing the right thing is not always the easiest thing. We could have rocked on, and yet there would always kind of be this uneasiness in my heart as the pastor that I hadn't completely led in the capacity of being the pastor that God wanted me to be to this church. Tentative deacon rotation system was, like I said, tentatively, kind of just as far as let's talk about this. This isn't the pastor telling you what you needed to do or what I commanded to do, but it was more to the fact of us walking through the process and being able to allow the church to decide. They called the deacons, so it is the church in which the deacons and the pastors are accountable to. And so that is the personal story of organizational change in my life. Thank you.